the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Bristol Flyers Podcast, powered by MatchdayLive. I'm Joel Osborne. He is Sam Hardy.
Bonjour.
He is the man who puts the odd into podcasts.
And you're the man that puts arse into podcast.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Welcome to the Bristol Flyers Podcast. I'm Joel Osborne. He is Sam Hardy, as always. You've got producer Dan pushing the buttons. Dan, how are you, sir?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you both?
Yep, very, very well indeed. We're into April now.
Wow.
Did you have a good April Fool's Day?
It was okay. I mean, I got to go to watch the Flyers as a fan
Oh, yes.
for the first time in like 18 months or something.
Yes.
Did you enjoy it as a fan?
I did enjoy it as a fan. We were very close to the speakers, so we had you, Sam, in our ear.
Mate, that is the worst position to sit. Honestly, those speakers are so aggressive.
Yeah, but we loved it. It was Mum and Dad's first ever basketball game. Mum loved it. Dad loved it as well, I should say. They had a great time.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that later on in this week's show. It's London Lions, that game, right?
Yes, London Lions.
The April Fool's Day game.
I pulled an April Fool's joke.
Go on.
I sent an email out to all 1,300 of our mailing list for the comedy night saying we were closing down. But I was actually just putting out a promo to say the tickets are on sale now. So
Lovely.
that was a good little one. It wasn't great. It was fine.
I was at your comedy night last week.
How'd you find it?
It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
It was mental, wasn't it? The headliner was mental.
Yeah, very mental. If you haven't had a chance to go check out Sam's comedy night, by the way, last Thursday every month, the Bristol Comedy Chest.
That's it.
Little plug for you there.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate you.
How's your week been so far?
Yeah, good week. Been up in Bath a few times. We've been getting a bunch of our sponsored players in to do some content shooting, which has been fun. How's your week been? What have you been doing?
Well, we've got a lot of games, mate. The schedule's a bit busy for Bristol Flyers right now. 12 games, 27 days.
The thing is, we were talking about how busy March was going to be, and then because of those two cancelled games, it's turned out it wasn't too bad in the end. And now April's way worse, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got from March Madness to April...
Dan?
I don't know.
Madness.
April Insanity.
Yeah.
April Insanity. I like it.
I'm going to ask AI for a better one than that.
Lovely.
You do your thing, and I'm going to come up with it now, okay?
Tell us. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what I want you to tell us about, Sam. You are actually off to Scotland tomorrow with work, aren't you?
No, I've got an unbelievable few days. I'm meant to be. I'm flying at Scotland at 7 a.m, mate. Tomorrow morning. We've then got a golf day with work in Scotland at Loch Lomond on the Friday, which is amazing. But I had to get up there early enough because we're teeing off early on the Friday. But then I'm flying from Scotland to Paris. From Paris to Berlin. From Paris, I'm getting staying overnight there on my own with my golf clubs in a hostel, and then I'm getting a train the next day to Reims where I'm getting picked up by my family and we're heading off on holiday.
Oh my goodness!
Some people, how the other half live, Joel?
I know, right? It's a good thing we filmed our 100th episode last week, wasn't it?
I know, which was great, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, this is episode number 99. We've got for you on the podcast. 99, which means we're 1 week away from our 100th episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast, which is actually mad if you think about it. 100 hours of Bristol Flyers podcast is out there right now for you to dig your ear holes into.
Do you remember, or can you look it up quickly, what was our first ever episode and who was it with? Even in the lockdown series, I don't mind. But
the very first episode, I can tell you, it was the pilot episode, no pun intended, with Andreas Kapoulis and Nick Burns.
Was that in that room over there?
No, it was from our homes during COVID lockdown.
I remember now.
And we were on a 3-way Teams call talking about the COVID pandemic, basketball being shut down, and when we can expect it to come back again. And we've gone through the pandemic, we've gone through the British Basketball League, we've gone to the Dorna Super League, and now we're in the studio, and we're at 100 episodes. Well, 99 for now, but we've recorded episode 100 already. And Sam, I can confirm for our listeners, for our 100th episode next week.
Go on.
We've only gone and got a club legend joining us.
Are we allowed to say who it is or not?
Yeah, we can say who it is. You want to do the honours?
What, for next week or for this week?
Well, you can tell us who you got for next week first.
Yeah, and then we'll do this week afterwards. Okay, for next week, the person we've been wanting this whole flipping time. He's an absolute legend. He's been around forever. It is the wonderful, the incredible Greg Street.
It is Greg Street. We finally have managed to get him on the podcast, and that is a great chat. We recorded it already, as we said. said, and that should be coming to all major podcast providers and YouTube from next week. So keep your ears peeled for that.
But for this week, Joel, we have got a very special guest. Are you ready for me to announce this week's guest?
On. Big guest this week.
Right, I'll do it properly. The guest this week, the one we've had and we've been waiting for a long time, is... No one, it's just me and you, Joel.
We got no one! I've got nothing left! I've got nothing left!
That was shambolic.
Oh, we got no one on the podcast this week. It's just me, you, and producer Dan. And we're going to talk. We're going to do a stock check, I think. I'm going to do a stock check. We've got a month to go now until the rest of the regular season. So coming up on this week's show, it's just the two of us. We're going to talk about our recent games against Leicester Riders, Manchester Basketball, and London Lions. We're going to take a look at the playoff picture with just under a month to go. Plus, we'll be rounding up the latest news in British basketball this week.
Can't wait, Jolie. I actually love having the players on, but sometimes it's nice just to have, catch up on where we've been. I don't think we've talked much about, some of the games we've been playing recently. So it's really good to just sort of like get into it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into our recent games, we are now into April, and we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but a jam-packed schedule we got coming up for the month ahead. And at the time of recording, we're recording this podcast on Wednesday. We are less than 24 hours removed from last night's game against London Lions, which was on April 1st. That marked the start of 12 games in 27 days to round out the regular season. And I don't know about you, I've not seen a schedule, probably in any sport, that jam-packed, right?
I think, honestly, it is going to be hectic. How many games have we got in 1 week? That's the record. What have we got? We've got 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's pretty much 3 games a week now the rest of the way.
Flipping heck. How many home games?
Well, so we have 7 in total, but now 6 because of last night's game.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember the schedule being this busy, but I did see a post from Daniel Routledge, good friend of the show, last night. He said that 12 games in a calendar month, it ties the most domestic games in a calendar month in top flight history.
Flipping heck.
Apparently, we also had 12 domestic games in a month back in April 2022. But
we did?
Yeah, Flyers. I don't remember that.
So, wait, sorry, this is a franchise record, it's a league record?
Yeah, it's a top flight British basketball record, all right? It's not a league record.
No, well, it is a league record now.
Oh, yeah, Super League record as well, of course. But in top flight British basketball. But we also played 12 games in April 2022.
I don't remember. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. It does work out at 1 game every 2.2 days.
Oh my goodness me.
Producer Dan, you ever seen a schedule this busy in any sport, football, rugby, basketball?
No, not at all. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, how are the players feeling about this? They must be, are they looking forward to it? Are they feeling this is quite a mountain to climb?
Well, I think if you're a player, you'd much rather be playing games than training, right? So, you ask any of the players, they'd be like, right, instead of training, I'd much rather just be, playing competitive games of basketball. And it literally is. I mean, you've got games every single week, 2-3 games a week now up until playoff time.
Yeah, well, I don't want any injuries, Jolie. That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be not ideal for the situation, but that's okay. Like, I think the guys are doing well. Do you know what? I know we're going to talk about it, but having Raf back from injury is unreal.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I think it's coincided perfectly with our upturn in fortune in our games, because he adds that extra physicality, that defense, that classic offensive rebounding that we've seen from Flyers, that identity we've seen from Bristol teams over the years. We sort of drifted away from it over the last I want to say most part of this season. But now with Raf back, you slowly start to see that identity come back into play. And we had 2, sometimes second, sometimes third chance opportunities, especially last night against London Lions as well.
Yeah, well, I think he does that. There was at least one last night where he literally just tapped it in.
Yeah.
I think they scored their own bucket last night, by the way.
So did I. We spoke about it on air, and I was like, well, I think Kendall Lewis is claiming it, but I think it came off a London Lions player.
I think it was Hadzebegovic, wasn't it?
Yeah, tipped in his own net.
Anyway, we'll come to that later, but that was but he did those things where he jumps up and just gets those little tip-ins and like offensive rebounds. I think Raf is going to be a lovely little piece of the puzzle that we've been missing.
I agree, mate. I agree. So without further ado, shall we get to these 3 games we've got to catch up on?
Yeah, mate, let's do it.
Because we've got a lot of games to talk about. Let's talk about the 3 games since over the last few weeks, because we haven't had a chance to really dive into our results in recent weeks because the schedule's just been so jam-packed. We've got 3 games to talk about from the back end of March and into April. All of those taking place right here at the SGS College Arena. The Flyers, they won 2 of the 3 games against Leicester and Manchester, of course, before falling to London Lions last night. And I think also, if you were to look at that little chunk of games and you were to say, before these 3 games in the schedule, going into that busy period where you've got Leicester, London, Manchester, you're gonna win 2 out of these 3 games. I would take that.
I think if you're someone who hasn't been watching the league recently, like obviously Manchester started the season really badly.
Yeah.
And so there's, you might have it in your head, oh, we should beat Manchester. But actually, in recent form, Manchester have been unreal. So that was actually a really big win for us, wasn't it? And so I completely agree with you. 2 of those, getting 2 out of 3, I would say was probably unexpected based on what's been going on in the league. Would you agree?
Yeah, because Manchester in particular, massive overhaul in their squad. New head coach, Herman Mandole, new players into the roster. One player making his debut against us, in fact. And you'd look at it on paper. They're coming into us having won the last 4 games. They were probably favourites to win that game, and we managed to pull it out of the bag.
Should we start with the Leicester game then?
Yeah, let's do it. So let's talk about the Leicester. March 23rd, Bristol Flyers versus Leicester Riders. The Flyers picked up a 1-point win over Leicester Riders, 68 points to 67, the final score. It was a very low-scoring game. It was a scrappy game, but Flyers managed to get it done in crunch time. What did you make of this game, Sam?
I mean, that was a stress-skip-ball game, not a basketball game, mate. Honestly, I cannot believe how tight it was. It was unbelievable. I actually loved this game.
Yeah, I mean, just run it back from the start. Flyers had a 13-9 lead after 1. Very low scoring indeed, holding Leicester to just 9 first-quarter points. Second quarter, much more exciting. Landolfi knocking down back-to-back threes for Bristol. And then the sides went back and forth with scores until Duke Shelton had a solo 7-point run to give Riders a 5-point lead. Leicester were reeled back in, and despite Keely Johnson, he pushed Flyers ahead in the final seconds of the half. Flyers are up 30 points to 29 at the halfway point. And it wouldn't be a Flyers game without some late drama because Leicester, they took control in the 4th quarter. Zach Jackson with a takeover. He scored 17 points in the 4th period to give Riders a 2-point lead in the final few moments, and then step up Damon Robinson.
Well, firstly, let's go to Zach Jackson because he was in the league 2 years ago for Leicester as well. Went away, came back again. He's put on some muscle. Mm-hmm. He is unreal as a player. I know you're not meant to do this probably. He's one of my favourite players in the league to watch. He is unbelievable. His 17 points it felt like quite a quiet 17 points, really. If you'd say he got 17 points.
He scored 21 in the game. It was 17 in the 4th quarter alone.
Yeah.
So he just took the game by the scruff of the neck. He wasn't going to let Leicester lose this game. And they had that 2-point lead. He hit a big 3 to put them up by 2.
I thought was that not the one where he put his foot on the line? It was only counted as a 2.
No, I think it was a different game.
No, that was literally on that video that Dan.
Might have been. It might have been. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it looked like a 3, but his foot was on the line.
So Leicester basically are up by 2 with, I think it was like 2 possessions left in the game.
Yeah.
And there's this pick and pop action. Elaine Louis driving inside. It's a perfect pass back to Damon Robinson. And incredible 3. I mean, Zach Jackson's like closing him out, hand in the face, and Damon Robinson knocks down the 3 to give Flyers a 1-point lead. And it's such a choppy game. The fans went home happy after that 3 went in.
Did you? I'll be honest. It looked flat to me. The shot looked flat. So from where I was like, this doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And then it just was the cleanest swish I've ever seen. And that shows that I'm not a professional basketball player, hey, Joel. But hey, unbelievable scenes. And then there was still 8 seconds or 6 seconds or so left on the clock, weren't there?
Mm-hmm. Timeout Riders, they advanced the ball. Kendall Lewis with the stop and then kind of just tips it out of bounds with seconds just timing out. Bristol Flyers go home with a 1-point win for our first home win since January.
Flipping heck.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a big win. We needed it so bad as well at home. And that kind of just sparked a new turn of form for the Bristol Flyers. Yeah, as we say, first home win since January. Damon Robinson, 10 points, 10 rebounds, including that game-winning 3 for the Flyers in double figures. And we mentioned it a second ago, but that was Raf's return from injury. He loves playing against Leicester Riders. That's his hometown, Leicester. He always has good games against them. Added that physicality. And one thing I was going to say as well is I feel like our defense, and you look at these last few games, maybe not as much the London game from last night, maybe up to the last few minutes even at London game last night.
Well, they were on 16-8-7 points.
Yeah.
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
But our defense has stepped up big time. And if, we're still not scoring the ball at a very high clip, but if you can hold teams, I mean, we held Leicester to below 70 points in this game. We held Manchester to below 70 points in the win against Manchester. If you can't score the ball in the offensive end, if you can stop the other team from scoring, you're going to have a very good chance at winning the game. And it certainly proved that way. I mean, and I think a large part of that is down to Raf as a leader. He comes in, he steps up, players are sort of playing their roles. We're not scoring the ball at a high clip as we want, but it doesn't matter. If we're still in the game in the fourth quarter, that's all that matters.
Yeah, 100%.
Our defense has stepped up massively since then. And yeah, that was the win. Flyers picking up a 1-point win at home over Leicester Riders. Anything else to add from that game?
I mean, just pure joy, elation, and really good for us on the table as well.
Let's go on to the next game then, shall we? It's Manchester Basketball at home. This is March 28th. Manchester Basketball coming to town. They were coming into this game on a 4-game win streak. They had a real upturn of form since the arrival of Herman Mandole as their head coach. They were playing some impressive basketball. And again, the Flyers held them to just 62 points on the night and came out on top 76 points to 62.
I mean, I was a bit nervous about this game because I have been watching Manchester. I know, that block is so good. I know how good they have been in the last few sort of games, Jolie. So, to be honest with you, this was way less stressful than the Leicester game, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. And normally we went out and took a massive lead, and you'd expect them to go on a run, to cut back into the game. We just held them at arm's length. They were never back to within a single-digit game in the fourth quarter. Kendall Lewis pretty much put on a show. Raf was doing Raf bits out there. Kendall Lewis, the game MVP. And like you say, we never really looked like we were going to give that lead up at any point, I felt.
I mean, some of their good guys. Mitchell's a good shooter, obviously, but he didn't get going really, did he?
Nope, not particularly.
He hit a few, I know he did, but not up to the standard he's normally been playing at.
Yeah, Ashton Langford as well.
Yeah.
One of the basically one of their MVPs this season.
He did hit some unreal
he did.
Sort of he drove
reverse
in
layups.
Reverse layups.
Oh,
He had
yeah.
about 3 of them, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
They were nice.
They were very nice. And also that you got to remember, there's connections between like Alain Louis and like Nathan Kao and DJ Mitchell, like players that play in the Canadian Elite League in the summer. These are all guys that know each other very well. So there's a little bit extra there, a bit of friendships, going up head to head against each other. Alain Louis, by the way, in this game, I thought was fantastic.
Unbelievable. He was aggressive to the hoop, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He to be honest with you, I think he's coming into his own a little bit more now, Jolie. I think he's like really finding. He's obviously, if you watch defensively, he's unbelievable, but he's really attacking and finishing nicely. Finishing right hand, left hand, all of it, mate.
Yeah, I agree. Let's run this one back. The first play of the game, by the way, on this, perfectly executed pick and roll between Alain Louis and Damon Robinson. Do you remember? 2-handed dunk.
Oh, yeah,
straight
nice.
off the bat. And that's the moment I'm like, we're going to have a good game here tonight. When you get that first play of the game, you're like, yeah, it's going to be a good game tonight. Perfect executed pick and roll. Damon Robinson with the dunk. It was tied up at 17 at the end of the first quarter, and then things changed in the second. The Flyers put on that defensive clinic. 9-0 Flyers run to start the second. Owen McCormack with the one-handed dunk in transition. Let's talk about it.
Oh, my. So that was Owen's first in-game dunk for the Bristol Flyers.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
No, it was. I spoke to him about it, and he didn't just jam it. He absolutely crushed it, didn't he? Do we have a video of it, Dan, or not?
You put it on the spot there. I don't think we do. Maybe I'll put it up on screen now in the edit. I'll put it up on screen right now. Bit of podcast magic. Here you go.
Here he is. He's running in from the right-hand side. I think it's Ashton Langford's running up to block. No, get out the way, and he jams it down.
Big monster dunk. Funny story here, by the way. Owen, after that dunk, was doing this like nosebleed celebration because he was like, "Oh, I'm so high up, I've got a nosebleed," and he was like doing this for his face, like putting his hands to his face.
That's funny.
Gareth and I on commentary legitimately thought he had a nosebleed.
What did you say?
I was like, "Give yourself a nosebleed, big fella."
That's so good.
And obviously, I spoke to him after the game, and he was like, "Oh yeah, did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I thought you had a nosebleed." He's like, "Oh no, it's just my celebration."
The crowd also went wild. The team went wild, and they actually called a timeout straight after, didn't they? So I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. That timeout. Flyers held Manchester to just 10 points in the second period. They were in full control at the half, 41-27 at the halftime break. The first 3 buckets of the third went to Flyers as well. It was 59-42 at the end of 3. The Manchester, as we say, they did make it a 10-point game at one point in the fourth quarter. You always knew that they would go on a run. Like, it always happens in basketball. It's a game of runs. Cliche. But, we go on a run, you go on a run. They hadn't gone on the run all game, so you were expecting that to come in the second half. They did. It come down to 10-point game, and Flyers responded really well. And it was a solid performance. And also the Flyers, because you felt the desperation from Manchester sort of kick in at this point. I don't know if you clocked this as well, that Manchester were playing this really high, press, and Gareth and I spoke about it quite a lot on the broadcast. As soon as we crossed the halfway line, they would have 2 players rush to the ball handler and try and trap him up against the halfway line. I don't think I've seen a team play that high up against us all season.
Twice, actually, coach was talking to Elaine. I don't know if you saw, and he turns around to look at him, and he nearly has it stolen from him. He didn't actually, but he actually split the D at one point. It was amazing. But yeah, they were rushing out, weren't they?
And ridiculously high on the hedges on the screens as well. The ball screens, they were running them all the way back out to the halfway line. And quite a few times, he sort of caught them out. I remember Kendall Lewis with a baseline dunk, sort of caught them out at one point in that position. The desperation was kicking in for Manchester. They needed to get stops. That was their tactic to do so. And we just ran out with the win. 76 points to 62, the final score. Kendall Lewis, the game MVP, 21.6 rebounds, 3 steals. 4 Flyers players, again, finishing in double figures. Keely Johnson was 16. Elaine Louis, you spoke about him earlier, 13 points, 7 assists. And Owen McCormack with 10 points off the bench. That means the Flyers picked up back-to-back home wins in the last 2 games, going into last night's game against London Lions. And I think we should get on to last night's game against London Lions. They're on the back of an 11 straight league wins coming into that game. This was on April 1st. Flyers had them right up until the fourth quarter, I felt, Sam.
Well, I think actually they had them for... I was going to say 7/8 of the game.
It was.
Literally, we played really, really well for lots of it. And even the final quarter at the beginning was okay, but then they really brought it back, didn't they?
We had them right where we wanted them. We had the lead in the fourth period, and then I feel like a series of costly turnovers, bad decision-making on offense really costed us.
They hit some big shots as well.
They did hit some big shots, but a lot of those points scored were off Flyers turnovers or out in transition, I felt. And also, they didn't shoot the ball particularly well from the foul line, but Tyler Peterson, incredible finishes down the stretch for the game MVP. And that was London's 12th straight win in Super League basketball.
I would say... it wasn't the fairest representation of the score at one point because they literally were atrocious at free throws.
Oh, my goodness.
It was at one point, I think it was 8 from 19 or something, at their worst point. They did start picking it up in the fourth quarter, which is annoying for us. But, if they'd made even more 5-6 more of them, it would have felt like London were closer the whole game, wouldn't it, up until that point. So
I'm going to remember as well, this is a team that's top of the SLB standings. They've won 11 straight games for a reason. For us to take them all the way at home, we had them right. We were playing the same game plan. They were low score. They finished at 88 points. It's a 10-point win. I don't think the 10-point win reflects how close this game actually was because they were literally under 70 points right up until that last stretch that they went on. Let's run this game back to the start. London started on a 7-2 run. Owen McCormack checked in. He scored 7 of the Flyers' last 9 points to the first period to give Flyers a 3-point lead at the end of the first, 19 points to 16 points. Then the Flyers' lead stretched to as many as 11 points in the second quarter. A 3 from Leslie Smith, followed by back-to-back 3s from Pasquale Landolfi, which I have to say, by the way, I've been really impressed with Landolfi's input in the last few games, in fact. He's getting around 5-6 minutes a game, but he's making a real impact. He's open for those 3s, and he's knocking them down as well. It's huge.
From a long way out as well. Not just right on the line. A couple of them have been miles out, haven't they? So
Caledonia away, knocking down some big 3s. Manchester at home, and this London game as well. Hitting big shots. He had 6 points in about 5 minutes in that game last night. London, they came storming back just before the half. They went on that run. Crucial play here, I felt. sideline out of bounds just before the halfway buzzer sounded for Flyers. They turn it over and London go coast to coast, lay it in on the buzzer, makes it a 2-point lead for Flyers at the half. I thought that was huge.
There was a couple of things like that happened like that, wasn't it? Where we made a silly mistake and better case scenario would be we just threw it out of bounds or didn't even put a shot up. Like the turnover is the worst scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, because that just getting out in transition, isn't it? That's the tough one. It's just when you allow points in transition, you're not even getting back on defense. So they're getting points in like 2, 3, 4 seconds. When at least if you're back for a full, if you're back in transition, it's a full 24 seconds. That's a massive impact. As I said, the third quarter. It got a bit stale in the third quarter. Both teams going to the foul line, both teams missing free throws from the foul line. It was there for the taking going into the fourth quarter. Flyers led 60-68 at the end of three quarters to set up another grandstand finish. Late shots from the Flyers didn't fall in the fourth, and London really capitalised off those turnovers, as we say, to turn a 4-point lead for Flyers into a 10-point defeat for Flyers. 78-88 the final score. Flyers led by 18 points from Keedy Johnson. Robinson, 13 points, 8 rebounds. Owen McCormack with 10 points off the bench. The only 3 Flyers in double figures. You want to hear the free throw numbers, Sam?
Do I? Probably not.
London went just 17 for 30 from behind the free throw line in the game. That anytime a team shoots, that poorly from the foul line, you'd feel like you're in with a chance of winning the game. But the thing they were able to capitalize on, as we say, fast break points and points from turnovers. They had 19 fast break points, 10 points from Flyers turnovers. That's the story of the game right there.
I mean, look, if you look at the numbers, they hit 23% from 3, 5 from 21. They weren't shooting the ball well at all. They weren't bad at their 2-point percentage, 66. Ours was only at 45. It's just not good enough, is it really?
I think we should blame Dan's mum.
And you're absolutely right to, because she put a curse on the team.
Your mum put a curse on the team?
We were chatting, and I told her beforehand, look, London are very good. Okay, so don't it could be a good game, but London are very good. So when we saw that we were winning after the first quarter, she looked at me. Nobody can see this, but her eyebrows were up like, hey, this is going all right, isn't it? Half time, they were winning.
Oh.
They've won 2 quarters in a row. This is good. After the third quarter, you said they've won every quarter.
Dan's mum.
Well done, Mum.
What's your mum's name?
Jane.
Jane.
She
Calamity Jane it.
Literally. She
won't be coming back to a Flyers game. No, I'm joking.
She's not welcome.
She's always welcome at a Flyers game.
Yeah, good.
But it is she did put the curse on there. She said that we're winning in each of the quarters, and well done.
Some game for your parents to watch their first game though, right?
Yeah, it was very good. They had a great time. They really enjoyed you, Sam. My dad in particular said, "This guy this announcer, he's good, isn't he? He's enjoying it." And I was like, yeah. He particularly liked the way you say Demond Robinson.
Demond Robinson.
Yeah, big fan of that.
I appreciate that. I mean, I do enjoy it. That's the answer. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he picked up on that.
He did. Yeah, he can tell. He said he's enjoying this. It's good.
I do get frustrated though. Honestly, I stamp the floor. That's what I do quite a lot when we do something stupid. And then I'm like, and that's a foul for the Bristol Flyers. Number 22, Kendall Lewis.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She's welcome back at a game again.
Oh, she'll be back.
Yeah.
She'll be back.
100%.
Good.
And I think that rounds up the 3 games. That brings us up to speed. I think before we get to the news section, we should probably take a look at the playoff picture with just 1 month to go. Get it up on screen, producer Dan. Here's a look at the league standings coming into April. This obviously takes into account the game against London Lions as well. 11 games left for the Flyers, and as it stands, the Flyers are 7th in the standings with a record of 8-13 on the season. But we've still got 3 games in hand on both Newcastle and Manchester above us in the table. Surrey are 1 win behind us in 8th place in the standings. So depending on how these games in hand go for Flyers, Sam, you're either looking up at the table and competing for a spot in the top 4, or you got Surrey and Caledonia knocking on the door.
Who would you rather play in the playoffs first round? London, Sheffield, Leicester.
I'll take Leicester.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So you want to put us in 6th place if we can?
I think it's doable.
Oh, 6th place is very doable. I mean, look, technically on paper, if we win all our next 5 games, which we could do, we'd be in 4th place, Jolie.
Let's talk it through you for the podcast listeners as well, because I know a lot of people listen on the podcast and are like, oh, we can't see what you're talking about. Here you go.
Is that what they sound like, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. London Lions are in first. They got 21 wins and 4 losses. Second place are Sheffield Sharks. Sheffield and Leicester will likely then battle it out for that second and third seedings. It's likely that London Lions will pretty much walk away with the league title now, especially after that win last. They've played 25 games. They haven't got many left to go now. They're on a 12-game win streak. It would take an awful lot for them not to finish top now, I feel. Mm-hmm. Is that quite a fair
I think so.
Say?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, are they going to lose? What, they'd have to lose how many games?
Well, they have, 7 games left?
They'd have to lose all 7.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
Well, they're 4 wins ahead, so you'd have to win 4. You have to lose 4.
They're going to do it, mate, I think.
So that's likely. That will likely stay as the top 3. Leicester and Sheffield might shuffle around a little bit. Leicester could still finish above Sheffield. I think they play again in April at some point as well, so that could be quite a tasty game. And then you have this small block of teams from Cheshire, Newcastle and Manchester in 4th, 5th and 6th, who are separated by 2 wins as it stands right now. That could move around quite a bit. Bristol could also get forced up into that pack if they can win their games in hand. So those games in hand become even more important. And then, as you say, you've got Surrey and Caledonia fighting it out at the bottom of the table. From looking at it here, Caledonia probably need to win at least 3 of their last 8 games to really have a chance of qualifying for the playoffs. Probably even 4 of their last 8 games, in fact. But, it appears that those top 8 spots are pretty much locked in now.
How many times do we play Caledonia?
Twice.
Okay, so but they did beat us last time we played them.
Yes, but they're both at SGS.
Okay, cool.
And we play Surrey twice at SGS as well.
They're massive games then.
They are huge games we have coming up, so that could really push us up the league standings. We've also got Cheshire at home as well, and we have 1 game against Sheffield at home as well. So the home games, the 6 home games we've got left are hugely, hugely important if you want to move up the standings. So all to play for in this final month as we get set for the Super League playoffs. If we do qualify for the playoffs, the first round will probably take place on the weekend commencing Friday, May 2nd. So that is a date to mark in your diary. You getting your diary out now to mark it in?
Yeah, I'm just going to see what we got.
Yeah,
Friday. What's going on May the 2nd?
It's likely going to be Friday, May 2nd, Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. As the 2 games in the playoffs. We don't know yet. Obviously, you've got to make it there first, but just circle it if you're a Flyers fan right now, just so that you can get tickets when they come out. And as soon as we know what's happening with playoffs, we'll announce it on social media platforms. And a reminder, playoff games at home are not season ticket holder games.
Yes,
they are
sir.
all pay games. And that's a roundup of where we're at. A little bit of stock check of where we're at with a month to go. Busy month ahead. But I think it's time for us, Sam, to get to the news.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
What's up, Flyers fans? This is the part of the podcast where we tell you all about our brand new podcast sponsor, MatchdayLive. So MatchdayLive is essentially a Netflix-style OTT platform that sporting clubs and organisations can monetize their own content and bring fans closer to the action. They help sporting teams and organisations become the broadcaster with live streaming and on-demand solution tailored to the world of sports, deeper insights, richer monetization capabilities, and active support to ensure your fans are never in the dark. We're actually working with MatchdayLive right now, Sam, to build a brand new Bristol Flyers TV platform that we hopefully be coming next season. But it's not just the Flyers that MatchdayLive are working with, because they work with a whole bunch of other sporting teams and organisations, including Bristol City, Chesterfield FC, and our good friends at the Bristol Pitbulls Ice Hockey Club. So if you want to find more about how you can enhance your content with your own OTT platform, courtesy of MatchdayLive, you can reach out to their sales team, sales@matchdaymediagroup.com. That's sales@matchdaymediagroup.com.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
I kind of feel like all of that was pretty newsworthy stuff. But hey, this is the official news, isn't that right, Joel?
I think that was just like a general catch-up for us. That was like our interview segment, a general catch-up, rounding up the last 3 games, looking at the league standings and previewing the playoffs, an early look at the playoff picture. But it's time for us to get to the news. And here's a look at what's been going on in British basketball this week. We've got to talk about the upcoming schedule. A lot of games are coming up for Flyers in April. overall. 11 games in total left to play in April before the playoffs. This weekend, the Flyers are away to Manchester on Friday night for a 7:30 p.m. tip-off. And then on Sunday, they head to the Sheffield Sharks for a 4 p.m. tip-off. So 2 road games for the Flyers this weekend. Reminder, you can watch both of those games on DAZN, the global home of Super League basketball.
I'm going to be literally flying from Glasgow to Paris at that point, Joel. I'm not going to have to watch it.
Well, you can watch it on catch-up.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. All games are on catch-up as well, by the way. Must add that as well. But 6 of our last 11 games are home, right here at the Wise campus. And we spoke about it in the last section. Get it up on screen, producer Dan. There's the last 6 home games at the Wise campus for the Bristol Flyers. We've got 6 games for you. Starting Tuesday, April 8th, Sheffield Sharks are in town for a 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Then Caledonia visit on Friday, April 11th. Both of those games are 7:30 p.m. Surrey 89ers visit us on Sunday, April 13th. That game is at 3 p.m. And then on Good Friday, the Flyers host Caledonia once again on April 18th. And then we have a home doubleheader to round out the regular season. Cheshire Phoenix on April 25th and Surrey 89ers on Sunday, April 27th. Reminder, those 6 games are on sale right now over at bristolflyers.co.uk. Make sure you grab them now, grab your tickets right now, and make as much noise for the lads as you can as we gear up for the post-season. Which of those games take your fancy, Sam? We spoke about it there. A couple of Caledonias, a couple of Surreys
Joel,
as well.
We're winning them all, mate. 6 from 6.
Yeah.
You heard it here. In fact, I'm going to put it down here right now. My guesstimate is 5 from 6 wins at home.
At home?
Yeah. 5 from 6.
Which one are we losing then?
We're going to annoyingly lose one of the ones we feel like we shouldn't lose, like Caledonia or someone. That's what I'm thinking.
And you say we're beating Sheffield at home?
Yes.
Strong.
That's my guess.
What do you think, Dan?
I won't go as, let's have a look at these again. I'm not going to go 5 out of 6, but I think definitely, Sam is right. I think we can beat the vast majority of these. I'm going to go 4 out of 6. I think we'll get results against Caledonia twice, Surrey twice. We'll beat the teams around us.
The Cheshire one, I think, is super tasty because we match up well against Cheshire this season. The Surrey ones are huge. And as you say, we looked at the league table earlier. These are the teams that are hanging around us, below us in the standings, and we're at home against them.
Mate, if we win 5 from 6 and we win both Caledonias, both Surreys, and Cheshire, that puts us in fifth, I think.
But you got to remember as well, that's 6 games. We've also got another 5 away from home.
Who have we got away? Does it say?
We've got Sheffield and Manchester this weekend. We've got
Tough.
a trip to London Lions away from home.
Tough.
There's a trip to Newcastle, I believe, in there somewhere.
Tough.
And let me have a look at the schedule. Just loads up schedule. Yeah, Sheffield and Manchester this weekend. Then we have London away on April 16th, Wednesday night. Then we have Manchester away on the 20th of April, Newcastle away on the 21st of April. That's an Easter weekend triple header, in fact.
Yeah, that's
we
tough.
play on Good Friday at home.
Let's see how good it really is, right?
Exactly. Make it a great Friday.
Yeah.
We then play on Easter Sunday away at Manchester, followed by Easter Monday away at Newcastle.
Are the boys just staying up there then?
Yeah.
No way.
That'll be a busy weekend.
That's a proper road trip.
It was a busy month, to say. But at least we're finishing the regular season at home.
Yes, sir.
So that's a look at the upcoming schedule for you. Here's another bit of news for you, Sam. And it's time for us to shift gears a little bit because here's something that caught my eye. Now, we love it when our Flyers fans get creative, and this is from Flyers superfan Sam Comley from the Bristol Flyers Supporters Club. He shared with us a little project that he's been working on, and he made his very own custom-made Bristol Flyers Game Boy.
No flipping way. That is insane.
How cool is that?
That is insane. When did he make that? Recently?
Yeah, he posted it in the supporters group, I think last week, I want to say.
Did he say how he did it?
He made it himself, I think.
Is it a sticker? Is it a vinyl? I need to know these things, Jolie.
I'm a big gaming nerd myself, and I can definitely get on board with this. He's playing Pokemon Red as well. Pokemon Blue, even. Yeah, he's playing Pokemon Blue as well, which is ultimately one of the best video games of all time, I'm going to say. But yeah, as we say, for the podcast listener, he's decorated his very own Nintendo Game Boy in the Flyers colorway, navy blue and pink. He's got the club logo on there. There's also the SLB and the EMBL logo on there too.
And the pinstripes like the home kit.
It's got the pinstripes as well. Where can I get my hands on one of these?
Sam Comley, you listen in here, sir, and you hand deliver one for each one of us. Mainly Dan and Joel, because they're the nerds of the podcast, let's be honest.
What do you think, Dan?
I was never a Pokemon kid, but that is awesome. K-Lou, I choose you.
Here we go!
That's Super Mario.
Yeah, I know, I was adding into another one because Dan said he wasn't really into his Pokemon, you know?
There we go. But we love it when the fans tweet us and message us with their custom creations. So it's a big thumbs up from us here at the Bristol Flyers podcast. And if you've got any custom creations of your own at home, any Flyers custom creations, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's another games console, we want to hear from you. Upload your pics to social media. Make sure you tag us at Bristol Flyers. And you could feature on a future episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. Right, other bit of news to get to. Last week, I want to say yesterday. This week was April Fool's Day.
Yes, sir.
And as always, there's always one club in the league that gets on board with an April Fool's Day gag. Who do you think it was this year?
Well, I saw it, so I know who it is this year. And I didn't fall for it, Joel.
Me neither. It was the London Lions. And get it up on screen, Dan. There it is. Because on April Fool's Day this year, they tweeted out that their new state-of-the-art arena will be constructed on a newly developed island on the River Thames.
I'm not going to lie to you. That would actually be sick if they did do that.
How would you get there? On a boat?
On a boat, on a helicopter, bungee jump.
Land on the roof.
I don't know. That is, Dan, it is nice though, isn't it?
That is cool. Yeah, I like it.
The design of that, is that, I actually don't know what that's based off. Is that a picture from elsewhere? I don't know.
I presume they did it on ChatGPT.
Did any of the online April Fool's gags get you, Joel, this year or not?
No, they didn't actually. I was pretty...
I got hit by one.
Go on.
You know, a massive golf nerd. Stupid. Tiger Woods talked about being healed up, ready to play in the Masters, which is in a week, in like 8 days' time or so. But I know in my heart he's not ready. He's injured. He's hurt. Yeah, I saw it and I went, he's gonna play. And then my friend I was with was like, unlucky April Fool's Day.
April Fools.
So yeah, bad times.
Sucker.
Dan, did you get one or were you safe?
I didn't get caught. My favourite one was Tyson Fury telling everybody he'd been cast as the new James Bond.
I didn't see that.
Tyson Bond is what he said.
Wow.
Didn't get anybody, but it was quite a nice image.
Nice.
That's pretty good. I was tempted to do an April Fool's Day this year for Flyers.
What are we going to do?
Well, because we've got like 2 back-to-back games with Caledonia Gladiators at home, I was going to put something out to just say we're going to put them both on the same day. So we'll play the game at like 3 p.m. at SGS, be done by 5 p.m. Everyone goes off, has halftime oranges. You know, that's the result for game 1. And then everyone comes back into the sports hall again for 7 p.m. We play game 2.
I like that. That'd have been good.
What do you reckon to that?
I think I like it, although the problem is with scheduling and how busy it is, that would actually genuinely confuse some people.
Well, I think with the amount of game postponements we've had this season and games being moved all over the place, the Flyers fans are already pretty confused. So I deliberately didn't do one this year to not confuse them any further.
Oh, we should think of some real good ones for next year, okay?
I'll have to think of one. But yeah. It has to be realistic, though. Like Flyers to play a game in the open roof at Ashton Gate Stadium.
Joel to say something funny on the podcast.
Well,
brilliant. Nailed him. 1-0.
I do that anyways.
Got him.
Got him. Got him.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. So that was April Fool's Day. London Lions. You get a 7 out of 10 for that one, I think. It was good.
Yes, I mean, it looks great, but it wasn't catching anyone, was it?
No. And we got to round out the news segment of the Bristol Flyers podcast this week with a huge piece of news. And this one is a biggie because the Bristol Flyers men's second team have officially claimed the NBL Division 2 North League title.
Which is wild that they're in the North League, by the way.
That is wild. Yeah, they do play in the North, so there's a lot of travelling for them. But congratulations to our men's second team. They've secured the NBL Division 2 North title and finished the regular season with a 20-2 record after a big win over Teesside Lions at the weekend.
20-2 is a joke, by the way. That is unbelievable.
It's huge. It's massive. And obviously, a lot of key players from the fringes of the Flyers first team play in this squad. Players like Corey Hill, Pasquale Landolfi's brother plays in it as well. And they've gone on a huge run this season. So a massive congratulations from all of us at the Bristol Flyers podcast. The big news is, though, Sam, is that because they've now claimed the Division 2 North title, they can apply to be promoted to NBL Division 1 next season.
This is wild. Like, That's where we were 10 years ago, Jolie.
It's exactly the same league that the Bristol Flyers men's first team were in back in 2012, 2013, before Bristol Sport brought them into the BBL. Really excited. Hopefully the Flyers will apply and join NBL Div 1. But congratulations on winning the NBL Division 2 North title. That means they now head into the NBL Division 2 playoffs, where they host the D2 South's fourth place finishers, Newham All-Star Sports Academy, which is also known as NASA, on Saturday, April 5th. 5 p.m. tip-off at the SGS College Arena, and entry is completely free. So if you can't make it down, remember, we also stream every Flyers 2 home game this season right here on our official YouTube channel, Flyers TV. You can watch it online, but do get down there, support the Flyers second team.
Can I say something mental?
Go on.
Newham is further north than Bristol is in the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, we play in the North Division.
Yeah, the geography is making sense.
I like it. I don't mind it. It's what
we'll
it is.
take the Div 2 North title, though.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh, yeah,
it.
big time.
So a huge achievement for our men's second team. Congratulations to them. And that's it for this week's news.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Oh, great podcast, Sam.
Great episode. Good to just good to hang out with you guys. You know, the boys back together again. Danny boy, enjoy that one, Dan?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, who needs a guest?
Lads. It was good fun. I enjoyed it as well.
I don't think there's much else to cover on this one, though, Jolie.
No. So just a quick bit of housekeeping for us on this week's episode of the podcast. If you enjoy the Bristol Flyers podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down here in the comment section. What did you think of this week's show without a guest? Would you like to see us maybe do more of these episodes with just the three of us catching up on Flyers basketball, maybe going into next season? Let us know. We are open to all your thoughts. And if you're listening on all major podcast providers, give us a rating and a review. It helps us move up those podcast charts. Episode 99 is in the bag, which means episode 100 is next. And coming up next, we have Greg Street, the ultimate Bristol basketball legend, joining us on the Bristol Flyers podcast. It's coming to your ear holes and your eye holes next week, right here on all major podcast providers and YouTube. Don't miss it. I can tell you it's one that you have to watch. And we've recorded it already. I can tell you it's great.
It certainly is, Jolie.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Sam, before we wrap up this week's episode of the podcast?
Not from me. Anything from you, Danny boy?
We'll have a chat about eye holes and ear holes off air. But yeah, with that, no, all good.
No. Thanks to everyone listening to the podcast. Thanks to everyone watching the podcast. Thanks for producer Dan for pushing the buttons, the team at Brandvox. Shout out to MatchdayLive for sponsoring the Bristol Flyers podcast. Thank you to Sam. And of course, thank you to you at home, the listeners. But until next week, on our 100th episode, we'll see you next time right here on the Bristol Flyers podcast, powered by MatchdayLive. Oosh.